What up, dog? It's Sean. What's up, Service Drive? How you guys doing today, tonight, this afternoon, whenever it is you're watching this? How you doing? Hope everyone is living their dreams and making January as good as it can be. I know it's been pretty awful for everybody in the business, but I digress. I want to get down to the next step of the service process for everybody, which is the sell. My favorite part, my most fun. Honestly, my second favorite. As a manager, I genuinely get off on people coming in angry and having heat because I just absolutely love turning that around. But my second favorite one, and the one that pays my bills and everyone else's bills, is the sell. So what I've done is I've kind of adapted the Molder approach for 2018. If you don't know what the Molder approach is, it's not from the X-Files. It's named after a guy named Molder. A lot of companies, a lot of consulting firms. What was it? Atcon, I think back in the day. I think even Reynolds peddled it. A lot of consultants pushed it in service departments as the way to sell, and it works. It did work, but I've adapted it for 2018. We've got a lot more ways to reach our customers. As I've said before in previous videos and in previous parts of the process, if you're not willing to Facebook message, Snapchat, Instagram a picture of something, you got to be willing to do whatever for people nowadays. It's just the new level of service. It's not next level. It's not going above and beyond. It's the expectation now. So if I can market to and reach people on those social media sites, you can do business with them on those sites. Like I've said in the past, I can't harp on enough because I know service people hate giving out their cell phone number to people because we know we're going to get that phone call at midnight on Sunday when it's raining, during the Super Bowl, of somebody with a flat tire that thinks that you're roadside assistant. So get Google Voice, get any one of a number of apps out there, either free or really nice paid ones like QuickPage, that allow you to communicate with your customers via video, text, and photo is the biggest thing. It's the strongest part of this process. You'll find that out here in a second. So here's how it goes. Here's how it breaks down. I'm going to skip a lot of the other parts. I'm going to assume that you've got best method of contact, that you told them what time you were calling, and that you're calling them at that time or earlier, because we keep our promises and we under promise and over deliver. So assuming you've done the other third of your job correctly, now you've got an estimate in front of you. You call your customer up. You reach out to them whatever way possible. Hey, you want to do this over the phone though. If it's a texter, you gotta turn that into a phone conversation. But you're gonna say, hey, Miss Smith, got some information on your car, got the results from your multi-point inspection as well as the diagnosis for whatever you brought it in for. I want to go over that with you. Do you have 5 to 10 minutes to sit down with me? I want to send some information to you via email, Facebook Messenger, text, whatever their preferred is. I'm going to send you some information, some pictures, video, whatever it is. Do you have 5 to 10 minutes to set aside? Yes. Okay, great. Are you in front of your computer right now? If they are, just email it to them. Be prepared to do all this. You got to have all this set up before the phone call. Send them that information. Or they don't have time and you set up a time. Okay, I'm going to call you back in 15 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and send you the information. You can look at it, take it in, whatever. But I'm going to call you back in 15 minutes. We're going to go over this together after you've looked at that. Cool. Okay, great. So I've got the results of your multi-point inspection, which you should have started on your walk around. I just want to confirm everything looks great. Your brakes are good. Your tires, they're okay now, but it looks like we may need to replace them in 10,000 miles. We did notice your washer fluid was low. We topped that off for you. Washer fluid is almost always going to be low, so you better point that out. Your tech should be doing it, but point that out. It's just another freebie. It's just another little piece of value before you start charging them for stuff. So we did the free multi-point inspection. Tires are good, brakes are good, blah, blah, blah. We topped off your washer fluid for you. That's, of course, no charge. That's part of the inspection. But we did notice your air filter is dirty. Of course, we've got them in stock. It costs $55 to install. You want me to go ahead and do that for you today, correct? You didn't ask. That's the key. You did not ask. You let it right into basically a yes, basically an agreement. You didn't say, well, we'll get into it in a minute, but you didn't say, would you like me to put that in? Because their answer is majority of the time going to be no. So you got to walk them into a yes. Okay, great. Now, as far as what you brought it in for, your check engine light being on, just want to let you know that your We did a diagnostic on it. We found the fault, 09, whatever, which is for the evap system incorrect flow. It basically is detecting a leak. What that's caused by is your purge valve is sticking open. There's really no way to repair it. We're going to need to replace that part for you. The good news is we have it in stock. It's going to be $240, and my technician will be able to wrap that up for you along with this air filter. We'll have it all done by 4 o'clock and ready to pick up this afternoon. Does that work for you? Now that's a little more of a yes/no, but it's not so much does that work for you as far as the price. That's I just presented an entire situation and told you what was going to happen. I'm just making sure that works for you. So you're not going to get a direct no or a price disagreement there. You're not going to get a price objection there. You just laid it all out. Here's what's wrong. Here's what I got to do to fix it. Here's when I can have it fixed. Here's how much it's going to cost you. That's cool, right? Is basically what you're saying. Now that would be more, how I described it is going to be a lot more for an analytical buyer, and you really need to dig in. I'll get into it in other videos, other content, but that's more of an analytical buyer. If you've got just Joe Schmo, doesn't know anything about cars, doesn't care, then your conversation may be a lot more, hey, your check engine light was on, it needs a purge valve, it's going to be $240 and I'll have it done by 4 o'clock. That works, right? And cut out all the shenanigans because he doesn't care what the fault code is or what it's doing or why. If they don't care, don't give them that information, because then you're going to open up questions that, frankly, they probably won't understand anyway. Then you move on to the more the heftier parts of the multi-point inspection. The first part that you lead in with should be your lighter services. Your oil change, tire rotation, air pollen filter, bulbs, spark plugs, and a battery, and wipers. That should really be it for your first part of your conversation. Then you get to the meat and potatoes, what they actually came in for. Then you lead into other heavier things that you found. This is where you're really adding value. Okay, so we'll get that taken care of for you. Not a problem. That all's already sold. There's no need to go back to that, by the way. Just remember that. That's sold. There's no need to revisit that stuff. Unless something that you found is much more important than what they came in for, and you get into having to try to budget with them, maybe you revisit not doing some of that stuff to address a more serious safety issue. But for the most part, we're sold here, we're good, we're done. We're moving on. Hey, by the way, we also found, you'll notice on these pictures that I sent you, that there's a picture of these 2 metal bars with a bunch of deteriorated rubber on the end of them. Those are your tie rod ends. They are busted. That's going to start to cause alignment issues, depending on what kind of car it is. That could lead to irregular tire wear. We do have those in stock. I can probably have it done in about the same amount of time. Probably going to push us back to around 5 o'clock. It's an additional $300. I'm going to go ahead and get that taken care of for you today, correct? Again, with the assumptive close. That's when you start, I haven't given totals. Okay, that's the most important part to kind of back up. I told them the air filter was going to be $60. Then I told them that their engine light to address that is going to be an additional $240. And then I told them that we got this other concern, and that's going to be an additional $300. If you can set your presentation order up, because we don't want to confuse people and we don't want to beat people into spending more money, because I just went from 40 to 240 to 300. They very well could not hear me correctly and assume that all of it's going to be 300. So if you can split that up to where the last thing that you say is less expensive than everything else or the majority of other things, if you could say this is $30, this is $280, this is an additional $140, that's going to clear up some of that clarification. You can keep the same word track, but in a different order, and you're going to avoid a lot of confusion there. But either way, be very clear about what you're saying, that this concern is this much, this is an additional this much, or this is $300 on top of this. But the real key here is the progression of things, okay? Rule number 1, bar none, communicate the way they want to be communicated to. You don't want to have this conversation over text. If you have to send them a video like this, having this conversation with a camera, you do it because that's what they prefer. But if you can get them on the phone with pictures of what you're going to try to sell them in front of them, it's the best possible way for this to go down. Okay, that's rule number 1. Rule number 2, start with the multi-point and start with good news, okay? Always start with good news. then you lead in to the meat and potatoes, then you lead in to extra stuff, and then try to end on good news as well. You know, when you're telling them like, hey, your tie rods are busted, or hey, your oil pan's leaking, blah, blah, blah. You know, but we also noticed, you know, they bought that, everything's good. You know, listen, just to let you know, just for your own peace of mind, we did check the entire car. And we didn't find any kind of rust on your brake lines. Your calipers look good. These can all be very mundane things that don't ever go bad on a car, but give them that peace of mind that you did that extra, that you did a complete inspection. You know, it starts with the technicians doing a complete inspection. And I know we always have a hard time falling back and leaning on them to actually do that. But if you can end it on, you know, hey, great, you know, it's a great thing that you're taking care of all this stuff, because really, like I mentioned before, you're going to need tires in 10,000 miles, but that next service is just an oil change and tire rotation. So that's going to be a pretty easy visit for you. And after going over this inspection with you, it really doesn't look like we're going to have any, you know, anything that we can expect for the next 20,000 miles, 30,000 miles, whatever it is. Give them some good news. Give them a high note. Make them feel good. Okay. And then, of course, on delivery, when you follow up, go back down that same list in that same order. Tell them what you addressed. If there was anything they declined, make sure it makes it on the list of things they need to do later. Give them a time frame of things. If they need to budget, if they didn't have all the money today, maybe you do need to go back and pick and choose with them on what they need to do in what order based on importance. But by all means, communicate how they want to be communicated. Start on good news. End on good news. Do it in that order. Multi-point, meat and potatoes, extracurricular activities, and then make it happen. Any promises that you make them, any ETAs that you give them, any pricing that you give them, better be right. My thing, I'll share it with you. I always did my estimates, tax, tag, title, the whole 9 yards. I didn't do this whole plus taxes and fees horse shit. I quoted you out the door and you knew exactly what number it was going to be. Generally speaking, on a bigger quote, it was going to be $50 to $100 less than what I told you it was going to be, because that's how I operated. I wanted positive surprises, not negative. I didn't want to have conversations like, oh, well, that was plus tax. That was $200 plus tax. That's why it's $230. Oh, well, tax is only 7%. Shouldn't it only be $214? Oh, well, there's other fees too. There's shop supplies. No, I'm not having that conversation. I'm going to tell you to the penny what it's going to be. And when you show up, I'm going to charge you a little bit less than that was. I'm going to make that work in our conversation, and you're going to love me at the end of it. I hope this helps somebody. You know, I'm going to try to, in the group, I'm going to put this up in a written form under files, so that you can all pull it up in a written script. There's actually a full estimate sheet that I've put together with the steps on it. So I'm going to share that and put that up in the files as soon as possible for everybody. So you can actually print copies of it, and you can have your technicians, you know, do your estimates on that sheet. Hope it helps somebody. Keep grinding, keep hustling, keep working at it, keep improving, guys. Have a great day.